What if the car you're driving right now is actually making your knees, hips, and back work harder than they need to every single day? Most people over 50 pick a car based on price, gas mileage, or how it looks in the driveway. But almost nobody talks about the one thing that affects you every single time you use the vehicle: getting in and getting out. And the wrong car? It can turn a simple trip to the grocery store into something that genuinely hurts. If you've ever had to lower yourself down into a low sports car and then grab the door frame just to pull yourself back up, you already know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you've had to step up high into a pickup truck with a bad knee. That moment of strain, that's not just inconvenience. Over time, that repeated stress on your joints adds up. Today, I'm going to show you exactly which cars make getting in and out genuinely easy, what features to look for, and which ones to avoid. Let's get into it. Here's the key thing most people don't realize when car shopping. Seat height is everything. The ideal entry height for someone over 50 is roughly between 23 and 28 inches from the ground to the seat cushion. That range lets you sit down and stand up with a natural forward motion, almost like sitting into a kitchen chair. Cars that fall below that range force you to drop your body weight down and then push yourself back up using your arms and knees. Cars that go too high force you to step up and hoist yourself in. Both extremes put real strain on hips, knees, and your lower back. So the sweet spot is a mid-height vehicle. And that's exactly what we're going to look at today. Number 1. The Honda CR-V. Let's start with one of the most practical choices on the road right now, the Honda CR-V. This is a compact SUV, and Honda has spent years quietly perfecting the entry and exit experience. The seat sits at approximately 26 inches off the ground, right in that ideal comfort zone. You step in, sit down, and your feet follow naturally. There's no awkward drop, no pulling yourself up. But here's what most people overlook about the CR-V: the door opening. Honda made the front door opening wide and tall. That means you're not ducking your head, you're not twisting your shoulders, you're just stepping in. The door also swings open to a full 90 degrees, giving you maximum clearance. For anyone with a wider frame, stiff hips, or limited flexibility, that wide opening door makes a genuine difference. The door sill, that's the metal ledge you step over to get in, is also low on the CR-V. A high sill means you have to lift your legs significantly before you even sit down. A low sill means you just step in. Small detail, massive comfort difference. The CR-V also comes with a grab handle above the door opening on the passenger side, and the door frame itself is solid enough to use as a support when you're getting out. That's not always the case with smaller cars. Number 2. The Toyota Camry. Now, most people think sedans are harder to get in and out of than SUVs, and for low-slung sedans, that's true. But the Toyota Camry breaks that rule. The Camry sits at a seat height of around 22 to 23 inches, slightly lower than the CR-V. But Toyota compensated by designing the door opening to be extremely generous. You don't have to duck nearly as much as you would in most sedans. But here's where it gets interesting. The Camry has what Toyota calls a wide-angle door. The front door opens past 90 degrees, further than almost any other car in its class. That extra swing gives you room to position your body before you sit, which is something you really appreciate if your hips don't rotate as freely as they used to. The roofline of the Camry is also higher than it looks from the outside, so headroom is not an issue. And the seats themselves, this matters, are firm and supportive near the front edge. A soft, cushy seat edge might sound comfortable, but it actually makes standing up harder because it gives way under your weight as you try to push yourself up. The Camry's firmer seat edge gives you something solid to push against. Most car owners don't realize that seat cushion firmness at the front edge is just as important as seat height when it comes to getting in and out comfortably. Number 3. The Subaru Forester. If there is one vehicle that was almost designed with the over 50 driver in mind, it's the Subaru Forester. Subaru actually uses the phrase symmetrical access in their engineering language, meaning they put serious thought into how people enter and exit from every door, not just the driver's side. The Forester's seat height sits at approximately 25 to 27 inches. But what makes the Forester truly stand out is the combination of 3 things happening at once: low door sill, tall roof opening, and a nearly vertical door pillar. That vertical vertical pillar means the door opening is taller from top to bottom than most vehicles. You're not crouching at all. You step in standing almost completely upright. Here's the problem with many SUVs that people don't think about until they own one. The door sill height might be fine, but the roof curves down aggressively at the sides, so you're still hunching your neck and shoulders as you get in. The Forester doesn't do that. The greenhouse, that's the glass and roof area, is squared off and roomy. Add to that the Forester's available power lift gate and the rear seat entry, which is just as easy as the front. And you've got a vehicle that works well for the whole family, including grandkids and aging parents riding in the back. Number 4. The Kia Telluride. Now let's talk about a bigger SUV because some of you prefer a larger vehicle. More presence on the road, more cargo room, more seating. The Kia Telluride is the answer here, and it does something that almost no other large SUV does. It keeps its step in height reasonable. Many three-row SUVs sit so high off the ground that you essentially need a running board or a step to get in comfortably. The Telluride's front seat sits at approximately 24 inches. For a vehicle this size, that's genuinely impressive. Kia lowered the floor in the cabin without reducing ground clearance, which is a real engineering achievement. The Telluride also has running boards available as an option, and this is worth talking about for a moment. If you're considering any larger SUV or truck, factory-installed running boards are something you should seriously look at. They add a stepping platform that bridges the gap between the ground and the cab floor, reducing the height you need to step up by roughly 3 to 5 inches. Aftermarket running boards exist too, but factory ones integrate better with the door sensors and power systems. Here's what becomes expensive if you ignore this. Repeatedly hauling yourself up into a high vehicle puts stress on your knees and hips over years of daily use. That's not just discomfort, that's accelerated joint wear for people who are already managing arthritis or previous injuries. Choosing the right seat height now is genuinely a health decision. If you want more practical car advice made specifically for drivers over 50, go ahead and subscribe right now. We cover exactly the stuff dealerships never tell you, and it can save you real money and real pain down the road. Number 5. The Ford Maverick Hybrid. Here's one that surprises people, the Ford Maverick. It's a compact pickup truck, and pickup trucks are usually terrible for easy entry. They sit too high, the cab is cramped, and the step up is brutal on bad knees. The Maverick changes all of that, because the Maverick is built on a car platform, what Ford calls a unibody construction rather than a traditional truck frame. It sits significantly lower than a full-size truck. The seat height comes in at around 22 to 23 inches. For a truck, that's almost shockingly accessible. You step in much like you would a crossover SUV. But here's the pattern interrupt. It's still a real truck. It still hauls cargo, tows up to 2,000 pounds in the hybrid version, and gives you an open bed for whatever you need to carry. You get truck utility without truck access problems. The Maverick Hybrid also gets an EPA estimated 37 miles per gallon in the city. And yes, that's the city number. So you're not sacrificing fuel economy for practicality. For someone who wants a truck but has given up on the idea because of how hard they are to get in and out of, the Maverick deserves a serious look. What to avoid and why. Now let's flip this around, because knowing what not to buy is just as important as knowing what to buy. Low sports cars and coupes are the obvious ones. Vehicles like two-door muscle cars or low European sedan. Seat heights below 19 inches mean you're essentially sitting on the ground. Getting out requires pushing your entire body weight up with your arm, which puts enormous stress on your wrists, shoulders, and knee. If you already have any weakness in those joints, this becomes a daily struggle very quickly. But here's where it gets worse, and this one catches people off guard. Full-size body-on-frame SUVs. Vehicles like the Chevy Suburban, the Ford Expedition, or the Toyota Sequoia sit so high that many drivers over 50 are unknowingly putting themselves at serious risk. The step up into these vehicles can be 18 inches or more from the running board to the seat. Without good hip flexor strength and knee stability, that's a real fall hazard. And falls getting out of vehicles cause more injuries in older adults than most people realize. Most car owners don't realize that a vehicle that feels powerful and safe from behind the wheel can actually be a hazard just in the process of entering and exiting it every single day. If you love a large SUV, look for one with running boards and a grab handle inside the door. Both features cut injury risk significantly. The features checklist. What to look for at the dealership. Before you buy any vehicle, here is the practical checklist you should use at the dealership, because salespeople almost never bring up any of this. First, measure the seat height. Bring a tape measure. Sit down in the vehicle and have someone measure from the ground to the top of the seat cushion. Your target is between 23 and 28 inches. Anything below 22 is too low. Anything above 30 starts to become a step-up challenge. Second, check the door sill height. The sill is the ledge you step over. Lift your leg as if you're stepping into the vehicle without actually getting in. Notice how high you have to raise your knee. If it's uncomfortable standing in the parking lot, it will be worse after a long day when your joints are tired. Third, test the door swing. Open the door fully and stand beside it. Is there enough room for you to position yourself before sitting? A door that only opens to 60 or 70 degrees forces awkward body angles. You want that full 90-degree or greater swing. Fourth, look for grab handle. Inside the door frame, above the door opening, or on the dashboard. These are the things you reach for when getting in and out, and not every car has them in useful position. Test them. Grab the handle and simulate standing up from the seat. If it's in the wrong spot or feels flimsy, that's a real problem. Fifth, try the rear seats too. Even if you'll only drive from the front, your passengers, your spouse, your siblings, your grandchildren will be using those rear doors. A vehicle with easy front entry but terrible rear access is only solving half the problem. Escalation, the peak tip. Here is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today, and this is where most people make a decision they regret for years. People test drive a car for comfort while sitting. They focus on the seat cushion, the lumbar support, the noise level, the ride quality. All of that matters, but they forget to test it while getting in and out, repeatedly. One time feels fine. The fifth time you've gotten in and out that day, after a long walk, after carrying groceries, after a stiff knee from the cold, that's when the design of the vehicle reveals itself. Here is what I recommend. At the dealership, get in and out of the vehicle 5 times in a row. Don't think about it. Just do it naturally, the way you would on a busy day. By the 4th or 5th time, your body will tell you whether this vehicle is working with you or against you. That information is worth more than any review, any spec sheet, or any salesperson's pitch. This is where it becomes expensive if you ignore it. Buying the wrong vehicle and realizing 2 years in that you dread getting in and out of your own car. Trading in early costs you thousands of dollars in depreciation. Choosing right the first time costs you nothing extra and protects both your comfort and your money. The bottom line. So let's wrap this up. The best cars for easy entry and exit for drivers over 50 come down to a consistent set of features. A seat height between 23 and 28 inches, a wide door swing, a low door sill, a tall roof opening, and solid grab handles in the right places. The Honda CR-V, the Toyota Camry, the Subaru Forester, the Kia Telluride, and the Ford Maverick Hybrid all deliver on those features in different ways. For different budgets, different lifestyles, and different preferences. What they all have in common is that someone actually thought about the person getting into the car, not just the person sitting in it. Before your next purchase, take that checklist to the dealership. Get in and out 5 times. Bring a tape measure, and don't let a salesperson rush you past the most important test drive of all, the one that happens before the engine even starts. Now I want to hear from you. What vehicle are you driving right now, and is getting in and out of it comfortable? Or is it something you've just been putting up with? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if this video helped you, subscribe to the channel. We put out practical car knowledge for drivers over 50 every single week, and we're just getting started.